Vinita Bali is the chief executive of Britannia Industries, a food company founded a century ago in India, and it's now the manufacturer of some of the country's best-known biscuit brands. She's had an international career working at companies like Coca-Cola and Cadbury, and here in the UK, a generation will remember the Whisper Bar, which she launched back in 1984. Well, Vinita, I'm intrigued by your exposure to business cultures in so many different countries, here in the UK, in Latin America and Africa as well. How do attitudes to women differ?
Well, Richard, in a way they are different, and in many ways they are similar. In the sense that, if I were to think back, one of the countries which is very counterintuitive, or at least it was to me, where women are quite emancipated from a business point of view is Africa. And the reason I say that is because a lot of African trade is actually led by women. So, for example, I lived in Nigeria in 1992. I still remember we had 60 distributors in Nigeria, out of which 58 were women. And the best distributor we had, which was not just the best distributor for Cadbury's, but also the best distributor for Unilever and Nestle and other large corporations, was actually a woman. It was very interesting because she employed her husband in the business. And I think a lot of this dates back to the African tribal laws, which states that what the woman earns is for herself and her children, and she can choose to share it with her husband if she wants to.
So it sounds like there's something there to be learnt in the West. You've worked in the UK and the US. And why is it that these lessons aren't necessarily being learnt, or are they?
Where I think what sort of the organized corporate world has done is in many ways self-select. So if you just look at the sheer math and the numbers, the number of women graduating from business schools is less than men. The number is increasing, certainly in India it is, and in several developing countries it is. So you start off with a disadvantage, which is fewer women come into the workforce. I'm talking about the corporate world. And then, there are more reasons for attrition, either when the children come along or women take a break. So I do think that that is something that we just have to realize as a fact of life. And I believe that it would be just so much better if the corporate world, the NGOs, the government, everybody planned that as a reality of life.
But that needs some action first. So what direct action needs to be taken in order to see these ideas translated into reality?
Sure. I think the first thing is a belief that, people, whoever they are, have to have that diversity. By diversity, I don't mean it's just sort of a word that is brandied around a lot. By diversity, I mean a different approach to things, a different way of looking at things. So, we've got gender diversity. Certainly, if you operate in a country like India or even in the UK, there's ethnic diversity. So the first thing is a recognition in the belief of diversity, in the conviction that diversity is actually good for business, and it's not the same old boring stuff. I think once you recognize that, then you start putting in place an environment, certain practices that make that diversity possible in every sense of the word. So it is a question of belief, conviction, and the actions that follow from there. So it has to start with with people wanting to do something about it.
What hurdles have there been to your advancement in your career?
I would say that in many ways, I got some very good opportunities, and I took those opportunities. I do want to make one more point here, though, and I keep saying this, that if women, or more and more women, are going to advance in whatever fields or professions they choose to be in, what we really require is what I call some Renaissance men. And I can certainly tell you in my case, there were a lot of individuals like that who, who bet on me, who gave me the opportunity, who created an environment where I could do my best work. And once that happens, once you've got equality of opportunity, then the debate has really to do with performance and results. And so competency has to give way to any kind of gender debate.
So the success, you think, of this depends on having mentors, of having support for women as they move throughout their careers?
I think there are a few constituents of success. Firstly, as women, as individuals. Why women? I think as individuals, we have to decide what we want to pursue, where we want to spend our time, where we want to make a contribution. I think that's really important. How much do you want to do what you choose to do? I think the second thing, certainly because the numbers of women are far lower than men, it does help if you've got people, mentors, other people in the organization who are willing to bet on your competency and who are willing to give you that opportunity to prove yourself. And the third thing, finally, whether you're a man or a woman, and irrespective of which country you come from, it has to do with your competency and the results that you deliver and how you deliver those results.
Insight from India. Vinita, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.